Hello and welcome back to the 816 the 6XL podcast. I'm your host Joe Ramos, and today we'll be going over our divisional round battle. We brought home the W 27-17 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow. It was good to see, man. The Jags came into town. The little kiddies came into Arrowhead Stadium, and I'm sure everybody saw all over Twitter. There's also probably Chiefs media making it into something more than what it actually was. But Trevor Lawrence said, I can't imagine that it's going to be more loud than what it was than when the Jags were at home for their previous game against the Chargers. But Trevor also realized that they weren't as loud when them Jags were on the field. But then the Chiefs won the toss, elected to defer, and once the Jags took the field, Arrowhead Stadium erupted. It was a very electric environment. It was our first game after that bye week. Guys had came back and recovered, and then some big injuries happened during this game. But just a bunch of people stepping up. Typically, when they don't play, some of our playmakers making key blocks and not honestly making like big plays that they had in the previous weeks leading up to it. Just an overall good team win. There's blood in the water for Frank the Shark Clark. Playoff Frank is something different. Chris Jones, he's still yet to get his postseason sack, but you know what? It is what it is. As long as he's getting pressures and we got the dub, it's all that matters. Like I said, 27-17. Patrick was rolling on his first offensive drive after I believe we got a quick 3-and-out on the Jags. He was rolling. You could tell his confidence on his third throw of the game. You saw him do a little finger gun after he did a little bit of a sidearm action. Two defenders in the way, getting the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster down the field a little bit. Just a great read by him, being able to get the ball to Juju. An amazing play. I mean, just something where you're literally set this way, basically me towards the camera. Juju's probably, 15 yards off the camera, and he slings it basically where I see Kellen sitting right now, basically slinging it that way, hoping Juju can get to the ball. If not, it's going to be picked, and he put it right on the money. In stride. Juju got a couple more yards fighting down the field, and it was honestly amazing to see. Now, a little bit later in the game, I believe it was still in the first quarter, Pat got his ankle rolled up on. Some saying it was a dirty hit, some saying it was incidental contact. I'm not going to go out and say it was because it's not for me to decide. And Pat got banged up pretty bad. It was kind of like back in, I believe it was his first year starting. We were actually down in Jacksonville, and he had an ankle sprain as well. Had to get it taped up, but you saw some things this week that Andy Reid said it wasn't as bad as it was then, so that's good to know. But when you're playing this coming week against a tough opponent with an ankle sprain, it's hard to believe that he's going to be at 100%. Granted, not everybody's 100% at this point in the season anyways. They can just feel as good as they can. And a lot of guys probably 80 to maybe 90%. But that's when it went from my homeboy Magic and all those things to anything is possible. Chad Henne, we were up 10-7, got the ball at the 2-yard line, and he had, as a quarterback, the longest scoring drive in postseason history, 98 yards. A lot of third downs that were converted. Isaiah Pacheco turned into a Tasmanian devil on this drive. A lot of energy coming from that young rookie, and just a lot of energy from our rookies in general. I'll get more into that later, but Isaiah Pacheco, I was a bunch of people in my section. You could see on a play where he got stuffed, and I literally looked at everybody. I said, I hate this freaking play call. None other than half a second later, here comes Isaiah Pacheco busting outside and running about 39 yards downfield and almost scoring a touchdown. His burst of speed was insane. A 7th rounder being able to recognize that, bounce outside, and make that play in a high-level, hostile game. Unbelievable. Unmatched. Isaiah Pacheco is really, really stepping up this year. And another running back I want to talk about is Jerick McKinnon. Everybody expected him to score a touchdown during this game. He didn't, but he stepped up when he needed to. He made some key blocks, especially laying out Foye Oluokun, one of the best linebackers in football, making a key block a pickup for him so Pat wouldn't get sacked. But back to the original drive with Chad Henne driving us down this field 98 yards. Unmatched, man. The guy struggled in the regular season when he comes into a game, and he's fumbled a couple times. in years past. But then you get Chad Henne in the playoffs, and this is something us Kansas City fans like to say here. Anything is possible. The guy just turns into a different breed in the playoffs. Maybe he doesn't have like that fortuity that Patrick Mahomes has, the athleticism, but he gets the job done. It's always a next guy up mentality for the guys in Kansas City. Trav mentioned that in his post-game interview. He goes, I would expect somebody to step up for me if I went down, and we're still going to make plays because we believe in each other. We believe in whoever's at quarterback, wide receiver, O-line, D-line, special teams. They all believe in each other, and that's the biggest thing you need is belief by your teammates. And you can tell it's a brotherhood and not just a business as well. But yeah, Chad Henne has really stepped up big when we needed him. I saw something on Twitter. He goes, I don't always play, but when I do, I throw a touchdown. Something along the lines like that. Shout out to Dos Equis kind of stealing that line a little bit. But just impressive to see from a guy who hadn't taken many snaps all year and steps up in a big situation when we really need a score. And then just the mental toughness from Pat, from the rest of the guys. And Andy wasn't going to let him play till he got an x-ray on his ankle, and it came back negative, let him come back in the game. And Pat was going to have probably a career game before he got rolled up on. It looked like, at one point, he was on the way to throw him for about 4 touchdowns and 350 yards, just based on how he was progressing in the game. But it didn't end up happening. He did end up the game with 198 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and 22 for 30, so a great completion percentage there. Balling out. Chad Henne did his job on the day when he had to step up. And then coming to our defense and the rookies on the defense, guys who have been stepping up, new guys to the team this year who aren't rookies, who have been huge for us in the playoffs and at the end of the stretch of the year. Jalen Watson, let me tell you something. Your 2 biggest plays of your career were some of the biggest momentum-shifting times we ever needed you. Your pick 6 against the Los Angeles Chargers early this year for 100 yards, and then your one-handed snag that you had this past week, and just great athleticism. And I just believe, trust in Veach, man. He finds these steals late in the draft. I mean, guys from 4th to 7th round. Granted, we've gotten guys early in rounds like Pat, 1st round, 10th pick, but typically a lot of our stars come late. Willie Gay was a 4th round pick. L'Jarius Sneed was a 6th or 7th round pick. Travis Kelce was a late rounder. Even when we had Tyreek Hill, he was a 5th or 6th round guy. Just the belief in the shots that you take, it's a low risk, high reward, and I believe it's really paying off because Veach sees something in these guys that not a lot of people see. A lot of teams that struggle year in and year out try to take, the biggest names in the draft, which it makes sense, but sometimes you can have these big names on your teams, and yeah, they still play well, but when you only have the money for that guy and not being able to spread it out, and that's just what you have to do to build success is get those late round guys, have them for 4 or 5 years, and it sucks that you have to move on sometimes, but to win championships year in and year out, that's just part of it. And I'm thankful for guys that come and go because they do stuff here that they haven't done anywhere else, or they've came from a winning organization and helped build us into a championship team the last 10 years now, ever since even Alex Smith stepped foot in the door when we brought him in on a signing and brought Andy Reid in. They've just built this from the ground up. And I won't take this winning for granted because there was years from when I was born to 2012 where we couldn't even win 5 games. And now we're spoiled, We hate on our own players a little bit, which I think is outlandish. It's hard when you have guys like, we've had Pat, obviously, for now, Travis Kelce, when Tyreek Hill was here, even in playmakers like Sammy Watkins, he played well here. Tyrann Mathieu did his job here in Kansas City. I mean, all thanks to those guys who have come and gone, but we've been really spoiled these last 5 years, not only to have 5 straight AFC championships, but 5 straight AFC championships at home, a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls in a row, but winning one of them, an MVP in Pat and his Super Bowl MVP. It's just crazy the amount of success we've had, and I'm really excited, now for this Sunday. We're bringing in the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the gritty boy, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all those guys, and then they got playmakers in Eli Apple, Jesse Bates on the defensive side of the ball, Sam Hubbard, Hendrickson on the D-line as well. But you do see, the last time we faced the Bengals was in the regular season, right? It didn't go our way. But the reason I believe that was so was because we were talking a lot before the game. And now we're dialed in, we're tuned in, and you see, I wouldn't say the Bengals are talking, but it's Eli Apple talking a lot of stuff on Twitter to Stephon Diggs and just the Bills organization as a whole. Eli Apple likes to talk a lot. It's just who he is. Sometimes it's just a fiery competitor that likes to do those kind of things for his team. And, maybe that gets his teammates fired up. But hopefully we're all tuned in, ready to lay the smack down on the Bengals because they're 3-0 against us this past year. Leading back to last year, if they win this time, then obviously, yeah, they're better than the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole. But some people are saying, which this just sickens me to my stomach, that Joe Burrow, if he wins on Sunday, that he's better than Patrick Mahomes. I don't even know if this is bias. I just don't believe that to be true. Pat's got an MVP. I don't know. His skill is just unmatched. I do believe, though, that Joe Burrow is, if he does win on Sunday, he will take the number 2 spot over Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong. He's a generational talent. He's got a lot of swagger with him. A great quarterback, but really a lot of the negativity you see comes from fan bases and not the teams themselves. But anyways, this Sunday at Arrowhead, ready to rock. It's going to be a loud 5th straight AFC Championship at home in Kansas City, 142.2. Pat, we need you. We're here for you. We're rocking. But we know I believe Chad could get the job done if he really needed to. You could see it. You got playmakers in Trav and Juju and Quez, Pacheco, McKinnon. Even in Blake Bell, Noah Gray, if Jody Fortson plays, Clyde may be coming back for this game. He's been injured a lot the last 3 years, but, I believe in our boys. But the special teams are going to have to step up on kick coverage. You saw they struggled with that in this recent week. Defense, Frank Clark and Chris Jones are going to have to bring it. They're going to have to get Joe Burrow under wraps because he will make a play if he escapes outside of the pocket. He's another one of those quarterbacks that can throw on the run, make plays when he needs to. He's really slippery when he's back in the pocket. Smell blood in the water, Frank. You're that guy. You're the shark. And Chris Jones, CEO of Sack Nation, we need you to bring it, sir. At least get you one. This way you can prove all the media wrong and tell those guys to shut up. But, Frank, I'm ready for you. Playoff Frank is different. Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, Lockdown, Brian Cook, Latham Lumber this week. I'm ready for you, boys. I'll see you at Arrowhead on Sunday, 5:30 kickoff, Tomahawk Chop. Let's freaking go, man. I'm so excited. I hope to be back next week with a winning episode, getting ready for Super Bowl prep. But if not, I'm not going to be too upset because, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. But I believe right now that's us. We got a chip on our shoulder. We're underdogs at home. It's only a 1.5 point favorite, but we're underdogs at our own house, and that's not okay with me. That doesn't sit right. We're going to have Pat take over, and we're just going to dominate the Bengals from snap one, starting at the kickoff. And let's go get our first victory of the week with that coin toss. Let's go do it. Kansas City, I love you. We're ready to rock. Chiefs Kingdom, baby. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. This has been the 816-660 podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos. AFC Championship, let's go. Deuces.